All right, goons and gals, welcome to today's video where I will be talking about, do I have buyer's remorse after the first 30 days of buying Little Baby Red? But before I start, let me remind you that you will have a significant amount of remorse in your life if you don't subscribe to this channel. So let me go ahead and get started and answer that question for you guys. After 30 days of ownership of Little Baby Red right here, do I have any buyer's remorse? Well, the answer to that question is both yes and no. I'll start out with talking about the yes. And I know we've all heard the saying, a diamond in the rough. And that's exactly what this bike is. Because inside of all these engine components and hoses and cables, there's a diamond in here. There's a really shiny, beautiful diamond. But when you buy it from the dealer, it's a lump of coal. I have to say that the CRF 450 RL is the most unfriendly stock motorcycle I have ever owned. And here's what I mean about it. Since I quit racing about 12 years ago, I've never modified any motorcycle that I've owned. Maybe tires or did some things with the clickers. And the reason that I've done that, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, it's just the way I roll. But I never modified any bikes because they're so good. 99% of all the bikes that you buy today are so good out of the box that you can use them for several years just in their stock format and get some great use out of it. Now, sure, you can shave a couple seconds off here and there, but if you're just a little weekend warrior, it ain't that big of a deal. You can save your money and use it for something else. That's how I look at it. But I know and I do understand and have no problems with those that choose to modify their bikes. It's kind of a cool thing to personalize it. So to each their own. But from my point of view, I just kind of ride the bike the way it is. I really don't want to mess with them anymore. Now that's not the case here, because this bike really can't be ridden without making some certain modifications. Now what I'm about to tell you here, if you've done any research on the 450 RL, you already know this, and I knew this prior to buying it. There's one problem with this motorcycle that just simply has to be fixed, that you cannot ride for any length of time with it, or it's just going to be a miserable experience. And that's the ECU unit on this. You simply cannot ride this bike without the ECU. Now, I tried to put a 450R ECU in this and a 450X. It didn't work. Thanks a lot, Honda. But you're going to have to do that. I mean, the bike is just not rideable. Now, I kind of knew that this was a problem with the bike when I bought it. Again, I'm not bitching here, but I did think that I could ride it for a few months. No way. I had to order this thing right away, but it's on back order for like a couple of months, so I'm going to have to deal with it anyway. So if you're going to buy this bike, keep that in mind, that you're immediately at least going to have to replace this ECU to get this bike to work. And I say that because it can be very dangerous. Like I said, this bike has stalled out on me in some peculiar spots, and it could lead to an accident. I mean, it is quite dangerous when you think about it. The other thing here is when you think about this bike, if you're buying this right now, it's like $10,500 or something like that. By the time you pay dealer fees, if you get it from something like that here, especially in supply chain problems with COVID, you're looking at this thing out the door anywhere from $12,500 to $13,500 right now. And that's quite expensive. And if you add the $1,500 to $2,000 that you need to put into this bike minimally, then you're in some different league here. I mean, you're talking like Africa Twin League here for any of you adventure riders, or KTM 890R. But even the competition here, you have things like the 790 and 690, excuse me, and the 701. You have those bikes and even the 501 in this category. Now, I don't know if what I'm about to say is 100% correct here or not. I'm just saying it because I believe this is a theory and I've not done any research, so bear with me. I think the reason that the 701 and the 690 work better is because that bike was built from the ground up to be street legal with emissions in mind. That's not the case with this bike. It was built, it was a detuned motor from the race bike. So Honda didn't build a specific engine for this bike. They just took the 450R and detuned it. Now, all of us know that already, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is we have to deal with these emission problems and this ECU problems. But the good thing is under that lump of coal in there is that shiny little 450R engine diamond just waiting to scream. So I think that's something that you have to take into consideration. Now let me go to the other side and say, no, I don't have any buyer's remorse. because this thing is so fun to ride, even with the stalling. I mean, I'm coming from a Tiger 800. I'm out here in the dunes, which my Tiger was horrific in the dunes. Couldn't even stand to ride it in sand. This thing's blowing through sand. I'm having a lot of fun. There's places I can go that the Tiger would only dream of, or things that I can do so much better on this bike because it's so light, it's so flickable, it's so responsive. And if you're one of those riders, adventure riders that's coming from a bigger bike, I mean, this is like a revelation. I mentioned that in my first impressions video. If you're somebody that's coming from a bigger dual sport, this is still a great motorcycle. So to kind of sum that up, I really like this bike. I'm growing into it. I'm a little bit disappointed I had to wait, I couldn't wait a little bit longer to put these mods in, but I see that diamond in there. I'm willing to be that kind of guy that breaks that coal and build this bike into something special. And it really is there. So if you're one of those guys out there that really want to modify a bike, have fun with something, personalize it, or you really want to get something as close to, let's say, unicorn as possible, take a look at this bike. I mean, it really is an amazing bike with some awesome attention detail, fit and finish, and that's probably why I ended up getting it over a Husky or a KTM, because it's a Honda, right? And most importantly, it makes you want to do stuff on it. Even with its flaws in its stock form, you still just want to go out there and do it. Now, if you're somebody that's on a budget, keep that in mind. You're going to have to put that extra money, and you're going to have to make that decision if it's worth it or not. But again, if you're really looking for a great motorcycle, man, and you got a few bucks burning a hole in your pocket and you're looking for a little project, this is a sweet option. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. Leave down in the comment box any of your concerns, questions, curmudgeons, or anything you'd like to ask me at any time. I appreciate your support. Subscribe to the channel. Until next time, take care.